Hey everybody, this is the Facebook Ads with a Twang podcast, episode number 5. Facebook Ads with a Twang is dedicated to taking the often overcomplicated process of creating simple, successful Facebook ads, breaking them down step by step in less than 10 minutes at a time. Let's get started. Oh man, I just love that intro music. It makes me feel good. So, it just makes me kind of, bob my head a little bit, and it's just funky. I enjoy that. So I hope you do too. My name's Ben Blackman. I'm your host of, Facebook Ads with a Twang, and I'm really glad to have you today. And what we're going to be talking about is how to get Facebook ad leads for a nickel. And wouldn't everybody like to know that, right? So, the truth of the matter is that Facebook ad leads for a nickel is not really realistic. And I put that down as the show title because I see things like that all the time posted in groups where people will talk about their successes, and I love that. I love reading about their successes, but they'll post things like, I just signed up a bunch of people for my webinar for 75 cents a piece or whatever it is, or $1 a piece, and everybody's commenting, oh wow, how did you do it? How did you target it? And what I found out once I look into those claims is not that they didn't accomplish that, but maybe they didn't convey the full story. And I don't mean that they withheld anything. I just mean that maybe they didn't convey that they already had a 10,000 person email list, or they had a huge following on Facebook or Instagram or wherever it is, so that they already had a raving fan base, and that if they weren't getting leads for $1 or 75 cents or whatever, if they weren't getting those, then that would be an issue, right? You wouldn't expect to pay more for that. They're not conveying that their cold lead ad costs are the same as, as what other people are experiencing. And so I think that happens often. And so when people go in to run their own Facebook ads, when they don't see those kinds of results, they think their Facebook ads aren't working. They're marketing to a cold audience, but it's costing them, $7 to register a person for a webinar or whatever it is. And they think, oh, that's just too expensive, because they're comparing it to somebody who said that they paid $1 without actually knowing the whole story. And that happens a lot. Now, I am sure that somebody out there is going to say, oh, I really did. I got leads for a nickel. And that's great. Okay. Hey, I'm glad that you did. That's awesome. All right. I think that's amazing. And I hope, but for most people, it's kind of like the lottery. Somebody's going to win it, but it ain't going to be you. Okay. Now it could be, yes, you could win. I get that, but it's better to have a plan and have a strategy in place just in case you don't win that lottery. Okay, because the odds of you winning are pretty slim, so let's not count on that. Let's just say, hey, that's a bonus if you do. That'll be amazing. But if you don't, let's not focus on that. What I want you to do instead, and this kind of goes along the lines of episode number 1, but focus on what the maximum you are willing to pay per lead. Okay, only use what somebody else is paying as a guide, not an absolute, because what happens often is people compare one to the other. In other words, they compare one industry to another, or somebody's campaign to another, their webinar to another, when they're not really a fair comparison, because they're not really doing the same exact things. And so it's not like a split test, right? I mean, you're not just testing one random thing that might be different between your webinar or your lead magnet or your product as somebody else's. There's a whole slew of different things. It could be the messaging, it could be the title, it could be the landing page, it could be the ads. I mean, it just depends. So you really want to establish your baseline of what the maximum is that you're willing to pay. And once you know that, then you're in a position of power. And I know I harp on this a lot, I really do, but I think that's what causes a lot of Facebook ad frustrations. Many people will look at their funnel and they'll say, oh, the Facebook ads aren't working. And maybe that's true. There's a lot of truth to that. That happens a lot of times. Okay, maybe the ads are not working, but maybe it's not the ads. Maybe it's the registration page. Maybe it's the lead magnet. Maybe it's the webinar. Maybe it's whatever. There's lots of things that it could be. And so you have to really take ownership of it and be willing to, make the hard decisions and hard choices. Something else that you should also consider is that many times people make adjustments to their Facebook ads on small numbers. And again, I talk about this a lot, but as solopreneurs, we're making big decisions with small numbers, where one little number would, a factor of one difference would make all the difference in the world, whether you keep an ad running or not. Well, that's not much, right? So if one conversion makes all the difference, that's probably not a good position to be in and not a good place to make that kind of decision. So that's why you have to know your numbers and understand them. Just remember that persistence and patience are the key to ads. I mean, yes, you've got to have great targeting. You've got to have right copy, the right image, video, whatever it is that you're doing. You got to have all those things. Got to, right? But persistence and patience are really what's going to help you navigate through your ads and understand what's going on and, gain some perspective on it. So remember, track your ads. Okay, you can track them inside Facebook. A lot of people put them in spreadsheets and so forth, and that's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. But the information's already in Facebook. You don't have to track them through a spreadsheet if you don't want to, if you learn how to read the Facebook ad reports. But do whatever works for you. It doesn't matter. All right. You want to track it. You want to establish a control ad, meaning you want to run, if you can, you run 2 ads, and then whichever one's working better, you drop the one that's not. And then you use that as your control, and then you test it against a variable. So maybe that variable changes an image, or maybe it's the copy, but it's not both. So you test it against another variable. Okay, and then you run it for a while, see how it goes, and then you establish the control again, and you just keep going with that. Now you can run a lot more ads at once. You can always do that. That's fine. It just depends on your budget and how much time you have to run the ads. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have a webinar starting next week. Well, you don't have a lot of time to test. You've really got to make you put your best foot forward immediately if you can. The other thing is that don't mess with the ads all the time. Don't look at it one day and say, oh, that didn't work. That's not a good plan, because it takes time for Facebook to optimize that stuff. Make sure that you pay attention to what's going on. Okay, I'm not saying don't pay attention. I'm just saying don't constantly change it. Give the ads a chance. Give Facebook a chance to put the ads in front of the right people. Facebook's trying to figure out who's going to convert. They're trying to figure that out for you. They're not working against you here. So give them a chance to do that. If they've only put the ad in front of 1,000 people, 1,000's nothing. I mean, that's literally nothing. I mean, you got 2 billion people on Facebook. 1,000, I mean, that's a drop in the bucket. So give them a chance. Something else I wanted to mention to you is, if you are having a challenge with it, then find somebody to help you with it, to either coach you on how to do it or hire them. And you want to make sure they have measurable results. And so I have some questions that I would always feel like are a good thing to ask when if you're going to hire somebody to run your Facebook ads. And I'm going to do another podcast on that right there. But when you talk to them, just find out about their results and if they're a good fit for you and if they understand your messaging. Okay, anybody can input a Facebook ad. Not that difficult. All right, anybody can do it. Where it gets tricky is understanding the right message for the right market, the copy, the image, making sure those are congruent with the targeting, and also doing other things like retargeting, setting up the correct audiences, and so forth. That part can be tricky for some. And so there's people who do Facebook ads and there's people who do Facebook marketing, and those are 2 different things in my view. So just make sure that you're cautious on that. Now, if you have any questions or anything like that, you can always reach out to me, Superman@onefocusmarketing.com. Again, that's Superman@onefocusmarketing.com, and I will be glad to answer that. I'm so thrilled to have you on this 5th episode. I will see you on the flip side. And by the way, the flip side may be me at the beach, because I'm leaving for the beach in a day. See ya.